Many people would just argue and possibly fight in tense situations. That would be a perfectly natural reaction, as our defense mechanism always suggests us to fight or fly when things get nasty. But have you ever wondered, what are those people, those dark figures who are always behind the scene, those people who pull the strings, who call the shots? Politicians, oligarchs, or businessmen, the first thought would be maybe Donald Trump, who is a very powerful guy, the guy who runs the strongest, the greatest country in the world. And the very same man is also insanely rich, where his fortune can't be measured even. But have you ever entered in the room, gym a store, and get some very powerful energy from corner of the room? There is a person there, silent, fade, almost boring, sitting and saying nothing. But still, you do feel some energy, almost unpleasant, that you can even cut it in the air. Machiavelli thought that the key of success regarding gaining power over people lies in saying less as possible. Who was a Niccolò Machiavelli? Niccolò Machiavelli, born May 3, 1469, Florence, Italy, died June 21, 1527, Florence, was an Italian Renaissance political philosopher and statesman, secretary of the Florentine Republic, whose most famous work, The Prince, Il Principe, brought him a reputation as an atheist and an immoral cynic. In late 1512, Machiavelli was accused of participating in an anti-Medici conspiracy. In early 1513, he was imprisoned for 22 days and tortured with the strappato, a method that painfully dislocated the shoulders. He was released in March and retired to a family house, which still stands in Sant'Andrea in Percusina. According to an ancient tradition that goes back to Aristotle, politics is a sub-branch of ethics, ethics being defined as the moral behavior of individuals, and politics being defined as the morality of individuals in social groups or organized communities. Machiavelli was the first theorist to decisively divorce politics from ethics, and hence to give a certain autonomy to the study of politics. I am not saying that Machiavelli was not a genius, and he certainly was a great thinker, but in my opinion, not the greatest, and here is why. Let me explain what I mean by that for all of you who would blindly follow Machiavellism as your doctrine of success. The ends justify the means. This is perhaps one of the most famous quotes attributed to Machiavelli, although it's often paraphrased. It reflects his belief that achieving a desired outcome can sometimes justify actions that would normally be considered unethical. But while you're trying to reach that goal of yours, stepping over dead bodies and loosing every moral principle, and when time passes, you suddenly realizes that your life has been all wrong. No wonder why you feel empty, ill, and miserable. No matter how rich you have become, you realize that life without inner peace makes you literally ill. And almost all rulers realize that while you are on the top, you get many enemies that want you to bring you down using your own principle. The ends justify the means. So I would definitely avoid this one as a life principle. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. This quote is from his work, The Prince, and it suggests that leaders should focus on creating fear rather than love, as fear is a more reliable tool for maintaining power. Generally, I would agree with this one, as you get everything you need from people when they fear you rather than if they love you. And Machiavelli was pretty objective when he said, if you cannot be both. So he realizes that being loved also gives you much of a power which you can use to manipulate over people. But being feared gives you much more space for you to strategize your plan in order to make people in an order that you want. Also, Machiavelli pointed on being a good ruler, being in control over people, always comes from having experience. So wisdom never comes from adolescents, but from grown, very often older men. He said, the more sand has escaped from the hourglass of our life, the clearer we should see through it, where he highlights the importance of wisdom that comes with age and the clarity that time offers. So if you need an advice from someone, it's better you do not look from people under the age of 40. He also knew that success always comes from being able to risk. Whether it is your nature or through your life, you kind of learn this rule and start risking sometimes when it would be necessary to achieve your goals. Never was anything great achieved without danger. Machiavelli often discussed the role of risk in achieving greatness. This quote emphasizes the necessity of taking risks in order to accomplish significant goals. Even before Machiavelli's times and after his death, all great rulers, and I would add great men, were keen to risk things. When you need to conquer another state or a country, you go to war, and no war is without a risk. The greatest times of Ottoman empires were those where they had capable men both on a ruling positions and in military. Same thing for the Austro-Hungarian Empire, not to mention the glorious Sparta, where they used to risk almost through all their history. Even modern countries as the United States would have achieved nothing if the people, if America themselves weren't be capable of risking. A prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promise. In The Prince, Machiavelli argues that a ruler must be willing to act pragmatically and break promises when it is in their best interest to do so. Well, I won't argue on this one, as it is usually true, breaking promises gets you in the position to act fast. Couple of moves before your enemies realize your intentions. He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. This quote emphasizes the importance of leadership skills and the need for authority to be both respected and understood. The great example of this is the military, as in the military people often changes positions and ranks, so they do learn to command and obey as a process of becoming a good leader, and in the end, a good man. Machiavelli also gives an accent on the ability to adjust and adapt, but it is a completely naturalistic point of view. Nobody with even a little reason wouldn't question that. Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. Adaptability and flexibility are key traits of a successful ruler, according to Machiavelli. He also thought that titles do not mean a lot without a capable man holding them. It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. Machiavelli points out that the value of a title depends on the person who holds it, rather than the title itself. Stay among the people, listen to them, explore the strength of the people and their weaknesses. That is a key of a success. In order to manipulate over people, you must know them good. The best fortress which a prince can possess is the affection of his people. Machiavelli suggests that gaining the trust and support of the people is one of the most secure forms of power. Things aren't that easy following Machiavellism or ignoring him. As usually, like all things in life, you must approach to everything with reasoning, wisdom, and heart. As all three things play a significant part of everyone's life, so without one of it, our lives mean nothing. Machiavelli was a great thinker, but his advices, even if they would lead you to the top in most cases, make us question. Is it worth the joy and all other amazing things our life offers us